Welcome to Pick Up and Deliver, the podcast where I pick up my audio recorder when I head out for a walk and deliver an episode to you while I stroll around socially distant from my neighbors. I'm Brendan Riley. Well, good morning, listeners. It is a blustery April 1st, and I'm not here with any jokes for you today. Today I am strolling around my neighborhood. We are in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. If you are listening to this sometime in the future and have forgotten what will probably be one of the most significant events of the decade, if not my life. So, kind of a dumb intro. But today it is April 1st and podcasts march on, and I'm sure you're listening to get a little away from things a little bit. So what better way to do that than to talk about some games? April 1st, one of my favorite days of the year from the podcast perspective. Actually, the first of each month is my favorite because I get to talk to you about what I played last month and tell you what I'm planning to play this month. It's both celebration and opportunity. Love it. Hopefully you enjoy it too. Maybe you skip these episodes. I don't know. Nonetheless, I hope you'll check in over at the Pick Up and Deliver Guild number 3269 over on Board Game Geek. I haven't heard from many of you in a while. I suspect if you are like me, your listening schedule has been modified a bit and perhaps other podcasts are taking priority. I wouldn't blame you if they did, but I hope to hear from you anyhow. So let's check in. March 2020, final monthly stats. This month I had 77 plays of 45 games. That shouldn't be a surprise with the stay in place order. Gaming has gone up a bit for me, actually, because my family can't go anywhere and has to game. Particularly my daughter, who is a competitive swimmer, usually spends 2 hours a day or so in the pool and is not doing that right now. So, like I said, 77 plays of 45 games. That our year total is 198 plays of 95 different games this year so far. So just shy of the 200 mark. I did 5 playtests this month, which is a little shy for us, but not getting together means less playtesting, I guess. 2 playtests of our games, 3 of other people's games. My shelf of opportunity has gone down a little bit since the beginning of the year, but it has gone up since February. It was at 44, now it's at 46. You'll see why that is when we get to the discussion. Or actually, maybe this has a similar effect. Collection size update. Last month I was down to 363. I had whittled away 6 games out of the collection, but now I'm up to 368. So overall for the year, I've gotten rid of 1 game. I'll talk about that a little bit too, obviously. Most played game this month, Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven has seen a huge resurgence in our family because of the amount of time we have at home. We're playing that a bit more, particularly with my daughter. And actually, my son joined our campaign this weekend, so I imagine we'll be playing it a fair amount because he's really into it right now. And so as long as we're all still enjoying it, but I imagine we'll play a bit more now that he has joined the party as well. My most played online game is Through the Ages with 4 plays. I actually had 1 tabletop play as well. But I did also play Carpe Diem 3 times, Castles of Burgundy 3 times, and Russian Railroads 3 times, I think. Maybe Dragon Castle too. Yeah, so lots of online plays this month. So on to top of the stack. Top of the stack this month, I had 4 games on the stack. I have three selected games and a repeat, which doesn't count. So for those of you listening for the first time, welcome. My top of the stack is a selection of games I've chosen to try to play this month. Generally games I've never played before, although it's not entirely a rule. Usually I put, oh my gosh, I just realized I forgot to look at the voting I'm going to have to mention the top of the stack next month because I forgot to look at the voting to see what the listeners want me to play. Oh, I introduced a new thing. Oh, I'm so sorry. So, top of the stack said 7th Hero, Steam, and Rattus were on top of the stack, and then Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the board game. I completely forgot about the voting thing. I'm going to have to go look and see how I did. I apologize, listeners. I will do an addendum next episode to address this concern. So the idea of talking this top of the stack is I pick 3 games that I'm going to try to play this month, one of which is selected by the viewers from my Shelf of Opportunity. If you would like to help, or the listeners, if you'd like to help select, you can go to my Shelf of Opportunity, which is linked from the show notes for this episode over at rattleboxgames.com. And you can put a thumb by any game you would like to see me play. The game with the most thumbs each month goes on the goes on the top of the stack list. Pretty simple. My Shelf of Opportunity, I trim it when I play a game. It comes off of the shelf. So anything with the most thumbs gets removed once I play it. So I apologize that I did not get that going, or that I did not remember about that this month. I'm going to have to put a physical note in there so I remember to mention it next month. I think Rattus, I feel like Rattus was the most voted one, but I might be wrong about that. It might have been Steam, in which case, I'm going to have to change things around a little. So anyway, 7th Hero, Steam, and Rattus were my 3 games, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the board game, was my repeat, which I had made it a personal quest to leave that one in the repeat slot, that game in the repeat slot, until I played it, dear listener, because I had it on there a long time. Well, if you've been listening, you know I did play Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We also got Rattus and 7th Hero to the table. I did not get Steam played. That one's going to be hard to play during the quarantine, because it's 3-player minimum, and my wife definitely is not interested in a dry train game. My daughter would probably play it. She'll play anything, but so unless I'm able to get some friends to play it on Tabletop Simulator, which I would not normally count as a real play, but these are exceptional times. I would count it as a play. I wouldn't count it as a play for the purposes of getting a game off my Shelf of Opportunity. I don't generally count digital plays in that way. Nonetheless, so Rattus was an interesting little area control game. Very quick, pretty easy to play once we learned the rules. A nice little bit of Euro aggression. You're moving these pieces around, you're putting cubes on the board, and then causing the plague to move around, and the plague wipes out tons of people. So your goal is to have the most cubes on the board at the end of the game. It's a tight little Euro game, pretty easy to play, takes about half an hour. Fun, definitely would play again, although with all the games we have, I'd say it's sort of middle, so I don't know how often we're going to play it. It also felt a little weird to be playing it during this time of real pandemic. I imagine it's more fun when we're not thinking about real world events. So that's Rattus. 7th Hero. 7th Hero was a card game. I got it for free from a friend who sent me another game, and then threw that one in the box as well. It's fine. What you do is narratively, you're assembling a group of heroes to go on an adventure. Basically, it is I don't know how you'd describe what kind of game it is. So you have a hand of cards, and there's 7 kinds of cards in the deck, 1 through 7. They're all the same. All the 1s are the same. All the 2s are the same, and so on. And each card has a power that it can do, and it has a adventure condition on the bottom. So at the beginning of the round, you have 2 adventurers in your party. They're of different numbers. And then you have 5 cards in your hand. Some mix of those numbers. It's just shuffled. Then you draw 1 card onto the discard, and that tells you which condition is needed. And then you pass a card face down to one of your opponents, who then tries to figure out, do they want that card or not? If they do, they take it. If they don't, they pass it along to the next person. If everyone passes on it, comes back around to you, you have to take it. If you take the card, you put it in your party, and as long as it's a different number than something already there, you keep it. If it's the same number as another card that's there, then you discard that and the card that was there already. So if you had a number 1 and you take a number 1 into your party, you discard both number 1s. Pretty simple. The cards each have a 1-use power on them, so you can do things like, discard a hero instead of taking it, or force someone else to take a hero, or whatever. It's fine. Like a lot of games that have a condition where you win instantly, the big problem with the game for me is that like Munchkin or Kill Dr. Lucky, the game goes until the other people are not able to stop someone from winning. And I find that kind of win condition is not as fun. If the way that you win, if you try to prevent people from winning, is one of the main things you have to do when you play, I don't know, that kind of interaction just isn't great. But anyway, we played it once on the 31st, so right before the end of the month, because I wanted to try it out. We all played it once. It took about 15 minutes to play the game. I got done. I'm like, you want to try again? My wife goes, I don't need to. My son's like, nah. I go, should it go on the trade pile? And they're both like, yep. So it's on the trade pile. But that was 7th Hero, also released as the game Rent a Hero. It has 2 names for some reason. So that was my top of the stack update. So first plays this month. Coming into March, I had played 16 new games so far this year. I had a banner month for that. I've played 11 more new games this month. Got to try a lot of stuff. I'll just run through them quick. Posing Pandas is a dice game which I thought was going to be like Pass the Pigs, but was instead closer to Yahtzee. In fact, it was very close to Yahtzee. But with the dice that look like little 3D pandas. I played Rajas of the Ganges with regular listener Wes. Hi, Wes. Over on yukata.de. I could not get my head around how the game worked. I watched a video. I thought I understood it. We started playing. I kind of understood it. But something about it, I just couldn't click. I find certain kinds of games are really hard to grok asynchronously. And it turns out Rajas is one of those. Maybe at some point again I'll play. Maybe sometime during the quarantine, Wes and I can arrange, and maybe others too, could arrange a Yukata live play where we're all playing at the same time and connect on Discord, and then we can chat about it. Or maybe we could play on Tabletop Simulator like that. That would be easier for me to be able to play. Carbon City Zero, I talked about in another episode. Le Havre, I think I talked about in another episode. A dusty Euro from Uwe Rosenberg, which I really enjoyed. I'm looking forward to playing that some more. It's got a solo mode, so I'm going to be busting that out and giving it a try a few times, as well as playing it when I get a chance with other people. That's Le Havre. Rattus I just talked about. Buffy I know I talked about. The King's Dilemma, I believe I talked about some. I know I've talked about it a lot on the show. I don't know if I talked about it since we played it, but it was everything I was hoping it was going to be. It's really fun. Good negotiation game. Interesting choices to make. Fun story. It seems like it's going to be a good run. We will probably only play it once a month, and who knows when the next time will be because of the pandemic, but still. Once we got into the quarantine era and I was playing games online instead of on the table, I got to try Root, which I thought was pretty interesting. Probably not my favorite game, but I could definitely see playing it some more. Tiny Epic Dinosaurs, which was fun. I think I talked about that on the show a little bit. If not, pop over to the guild and let me know. And then Spirit Island was a co-op I got to play last week on Tabletop Simulator. That was a really interesting one. Very difficult. I think we lost, if I recall. Yes, we did lose. An interesting game, very finicky in terms of you have to proceed through these steps and follow all these rules about how the enemies move and so on. And that part is actually pretty interesting. I feel like it wouldn't really fit for my family. It's a little bit too complex, but I think they might enjoy one play of it here or there. So that's Spirit Island, and I mentioned 7th Hero. So I'm up to 27 new games played this year. I played 4 expansions for the first time this month. I got to try the Time Stories, Revolution, Hadal Project and the Time Stories Revolution Experience, the first two segments of the next Time Stories story. Those were pretty good. I played Exit the Game, The Haunted Roller Coaster, which was a good one. Some really interesting and fun puzzles there, although those are getting a little dumb in terms of the theme. I mean, really, a haunted roller coaster? Really? And then the Pearlbrook expansion. My wife and I have been playing Everdell a little bit, and we decided to add some stuff in. So we opened up the Pearlbrook expansion. It was really neat. It added a couple more choices, added another currency to try for, changed the endgame scoring conditions a little bit. Really good. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I think that it will probably be part of our plays most of the time, unless we're trying other expansions. I don't have any other expansions purchased, but so far Everdell is showing itself to have good legs in terms of the viability as a mainstay in our collection. So it wouldn't surprise me if somewhere down the line I pick up the other expansions. Maybe at Gen Con this year, but maybe not. And then I had one out of the dust play. I played Dark Moon this month, which the last time I played it was 3 years, 7 months, and 3 days ago. Dark Moon, of course, we actually played the older version, which was Battlestar Galactica Express, but it's essentially the same game. So I'm calling it the same game. So there it is. So the family is doing a 20x5 challenge. I've talked about this. It's our answer to the 10x10, which we found a little restrictive, so everybody picked 5 games that we're trying to play 5 times each instead. I'm still not sure it's going to work, but a fun try. So far, on March 31st, we're 22% complete. I guess if we're tracking to complete it on pace, we should be 25%. So we're a little behind the curve, and way behind where we were last year, which was, I think we were at 40 or 50% by the end of March last year. So that's a concern a little bit. Let's see, we have 3 plays of Everdell, 1 of Buffy. What else is new? I've finished Brass. That's pretty much, no other major updates on that list. I'm doing the 52 game challenge, which I mentioned has a variety of different things you're trying to accomplish. I've done 20 of the 52 games, or 20 of the 52 plays in that one. Now, mostly I'm just using that to direct some of my undirected plays a little bit, help me choose a game here or there. That 52 game challenge is not playing the same kind of prominence that our 20x5 does. And then one of the other lists I keep track of is the leftovers list. This is the games that I have not played because they were on previous 10x10s and I did not finish. In this case, the 2 games that are on the leftover list at this point are Via Nebula and Matainai. Roll for the Galaxy used to be on there as well, but my daughter put that back on our 20x5, so I thought that was silly to have it on both lists. Matainai I've been playing on Tabletop Simulator with some friends, and I've now played 3 of the 4 games of it, so I just have one more game to go, and Matainai is done. Via Nebula, I need to get back to the table as well. All right, so my Shelf of Opportunity. As you know, my Shelf of Opportunity is the list of games that I own that I have not had a chance to play yet. At the beginning of the year, the Shelf of Opportunity was at 48. Over the year, I've slowly reduced that number. At the beginning of March, it was down to 44. I was making good progress. My goal is to get down to 20 by the end of the year. Unfortunately for me, or fortunately, whatever. And I've been on a moratorium of buying games. I've changed the way that I buy games, so my budget has reduced significantly for buying games. But that doesn't mean I can't, by hook and by crook, get games in other ways. I use fund money for that, which is it's sort of money in our budget for me to do whatever I want with, which is not necessarily the game. There used to be a separate game budget. But then also we get points on our credit card, which we use as fun money. And then I got a gift certificate to Miniature Market, which is where most of these purchases have come from this time. But we're also just a little more inclined to help a local business by making a purchase there that I wouldn't have otherwise made. And because of that, I've ended up buying 6 games this month that I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And those 6 are Heist, One Team, One Mission, Letterpress, Watson and Holmes, Isle of Cats, and Trismegistus, or Trismegistus, and Paper Tales. Like I said, most of these I got through Miniature Market through the gift certificate. So, and frankly, driven a little bit by the desire for something new in the face of the current situation. So I'm excited to try these games this month, and my goal is that by the end of the month they will have all been tried and taken off of my shelf of opportunity, and we'll be back to sort of seeing the rhythm of the shelf getting smaller each month. Nonetheless, that said, as of March 31st, I'm at 46 unplayed games compared to the 44 I was at last month. So even though I acquired 6 new games, we played one of them, and then I knocked enough other games off the list this month that I offset. The whole list only went up by 2, even if I did add several games to my collection this month. Nonetheless, not ideal for the I want to reduce my collection size. I've also been selling games, which does reduce the collection size, but since the quarantine happened, I've stopped doing that. So I just have a growing pile of games on the sell pile. I guess one way I could cook the books a little would be to call the games on the sell pile not part of my collection anymore, but that feels self-deceptive because they're still in my house taking up room, which is kind of the point. We played one expansion that it was in my collection. That was the Everdell Pearlbrook, so that's down to 33 unplayed expansions. On my top 50 challenge, I have played 4 more games, Matainai, Gloomhaven, Wingspan, and Through the Ages, since January 1st. So now I'm up to 15 of my top 50 games. As a reminder, the goal is to play all 50 games before I do my next top 50 list at the end of December in 2022. So I have 2 years to do that. But there it is. I played 15 of them. Or 14 of them, excuse me. So finally, for next month, I'm going to do this on the fly. So if I'm stumbling a little bit, it's because I really don't remember what the vote is. But my 3 games on the top of my list are Isle of Cats, Letterpress, and then whatever the top vote getter is over on my shelf of opportunity. I don't recall which one it would be, so I will update next episode, or you can look at my top of the stack link following the show notes, or the link that I'll put in the Board Game Geek Guild. And then finally, my repeat will be Juliet and the Monster, or the German game is Julchen und die Monster, which is a game about a little kid trying to outwit their nightmares. It's a game I got a while ago from a friend, and this will be the 3rd time in the list, so hopefully it won't get played this month. I think we have a good chance given the quarantine. Okay, well, what's on the top of your stack? How did you do with your March plans? Reach out on Board Game Geek Guild 3269 and let us know. Thanks for joining me today. I hope that your next walk is as pleasant as mine was. Bye-bye.
Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.